Good afternoon to my lovely audience and welcome to Sound of Claret Studio. I am your host, Chike Chima, a proud ambassador of Claret Academy Secondary School, Area A, New Owerri, Imo State, Nigeria. And I'm here to host the show for the 175th anniversary of the Claretian presence in the world. The Claretian Missionaries, for the past 175 years, have done a lot of apostolic work. From 1849 to 2024, they have done a lot of apostolic work. For example, the Mission Procure, Education Apostolic Work, etc. In Nigeria, we have the Northern Province, the Western Province, and the Eastern Province. And I'd like to welcome the Superior General of the Eastern Province of Nigeria, Very Reverend Father Nathaniel Eke, CMF. Father Nathaniel, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. How are you?
Father, how are you feeling today?
I'm fine. I'm really excited about the celebration that is going on, beginning with the Spirituality Congress that is going on in Vicksburg.
Father, can you please tell the audience about how you feel of the Claretian Missionaries celebrating their 175th year on earth?
I wish to begin on a note of gratitude to God, who allowed the Claretian Missionaries to celebrate this 175th anniversary of our foundation in the church. And it is a thing of joy, not just for me, but for all the Claretians worldwide, because we are all keen into this great dream of our father founder. I can remember one of the prophetic statements he made on the day of the foundation was that today a great work has started. So we are happy that even though we were not born when this congregation was founded, but today we grew up and became part of that great work, that great dream. And here in East Nigeria province, we have also contributed to that project of evangelization. So I'm so happy that we as Claretians from East Nigeria province, that we are part of it.
It's a thing of joy and a day of joy. Father, thank you so much for sharing your views and opinions about the 175th year of the Claretian Missionaries, their presence on earth, and we hope to work with you once more.
Thank you. God bless you.
Right now, we're going on a short break, and I hope to see you once more.
The son of the Immaculate Heart of Mary is a man on fire with love.
April 17, 1966, that was the priestly ordination of Christian Mary Ihedro, which took place at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church, Emekuku, the mother of all Catholic churches in the old diocese and political province of the world. In 1967 to 1970, something really happened. This was exactly the Nigerian Biafran War, which claimed over 2 million lives. 1970, after Father Ihedro went back to Turkey and then UK to complete his studies, the war started, the Nigerian Biafran War started. He could only come back in 1970.
In July of 1970, Father Ihedro came to Nigeria to see his people and find out how the Nigeria-Biafran War had left them.
Cabin crew, loading off station.
resources waste. With that also, we try to collaborate with the bishops all over. A good number of our men, the Vicar for Religious, or that's president for the Consecrated Men and Women Association. So we are very much involved in different apostolates. Some of us also take care of the seminaries in some dioceses, and also our own schools, our own schools started. Of course, we wouldn't forget the lay Claretians, who've been part and parcel of our own system, who work together with us. So in the actual fact, we work in places where people wouldn't like to go. People would like to go to Meduguri now, but our men are in Meduguri. They are in different parts of the north. So these are some of the areas we have. And we thank God also this has been kept with within 10 years, the Claretians, we have 3 bishops, two working in the north, Makurdi diocese and Bauchi, and they recently, another one in the east, the Sahara diocese. I think this is a very important way of establishing our own presence. We didn't vie for this, but you see how God is doing it. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, Father, for sharing your views with us on the show. Father Philip, the next question is for you. Father Philip, our missionary works is giving rise to eloquent engagement in the educational apostolate. Would you like to tell our audience about the Claretian impact in local universities?
Well, thank you. Claretians have this sector education as an important aspect of our apostolate. And in Nigeria, we have taken it serious from the founder, Anthony Mary Claret, who was involved in education, and also in apostolate of the pen. And here we have taken it up. Claretians run many schools, nursery, primary, secondary schools of high quality. We don't give deformed education. Some education processes are deformed. So we give quality education. Apart from that, many of our priests teach in secondary schools, in universities. And now we have a university. We started with the Claretian Institute of Philosophy as a tertiary institution affiliated to a university. With the Claretian University, it's now part and parcel of the Claretian University. So higher education is familiar, is a familiar terrain for us in Claretians. We have many professors. We have people with very high degrees. With the collaboration of Rome, our priests are highly trained and specialized in many areas, and that is why our apostolate in education is booming. And nobody can really fault the Claretians in education. Actually, people say the Claretians are the second Jesuit, the Jesuits of Nigeria, because of our qualitative education at all levels, not just one level, at all levels. I mentioned the nursery, the primary, the secondary, and tertiary institutions where Claretians have been performing, and not only performing, everybody in Nigeria, I think, knows that Claretians are specialized in education.
I can vouch for that in the qualitative education.
Because you're a product of good.
Father John, the next question is for you. Like Father Philip said earlier, we've just upgraded ourselves to not just rendering our services to local universities, but establishing our own university known as the Claretian University of Nigeria, KUN. Father, can you tell us and tell the audience about the journey so far?
Thank you very much. The journey so far, to the point where we are, in the establishment of the university has been very challenging and at the same time fulfilling. And we give thanks to God for the numerous work he has done through declarations in Nigeria in the educational sector. And the dream, just as we have, as Father found the dreams so much, and then most of those were accomplished in various forms. Right at the beginning of declarations in Nigeria, in 1982, the dream of having university started when then Superior late Reverend Father Christian Ihedero changed the novitiate to Claret House of Studies. And then that's from House of Studies, have Claretian Institute of Philosophy, and then the various rectors that ran that institute and the team that worked with them were constantly dreaming and working hard and audaciously seeking for ways to really encounter it until 2015, when also a more gallantly effort came from one of those who have been part and parcel of the institute, Father Wenceslas Amade, who moved in from the public sector to begin some engagement with the government and all that. And then the dream became stronger, and then the challenges along this dream was going through the process of engaging government, going through various proposed campuses for the university. We moved from Omona Okigwe to Aba, from Aba to Werenkwaji, to Umudim and all that, and then to Umundoba. All these places we had bruises. But audaciously we were fighting it on and moved on. Eventually, of course, through the help of the general government, we said, begin in Maryland Nekede and then stay there until we ask you to move. We got to Maryland Nekede, and then with some of the basic things there, we were able to move. The challenges continued. Now we have a university approved in 2021, and we had to face new challenges of running this university, challenges of funding, challenges of running an establishment or institution that is different from what we're used to, regulated by the National University Commission, not directly the way we run secondary schools, primary schools. Now there's a different regulation, and you have a different system, governance structure, and all that. We have all to learn, but those who pushed it to it, luckily, just as Professor Philip mentioned earlier, we have already some people who are trained. We have professors, we have senior lecturers, we have readers, we have almost all the levels of the educational sector we have them. So most of them moved in, and some people were still coming from outside to back it up to the point where we are, and then we're going through a learning process while doing this in order to see that this dream that began by Father Ihedero will become a dream that will also, we have also added further dreams to it as something that will also be useful for the mission of declarations all over the world, and particularly the mission of declarations in Nigeria, to strengthen her educational apostolate, to strengthen her spirituality, and also to strengthen her economy.
With God by our side, we realize this dream. Father Philip, the next question is for you. We have made some impact on Nigerian higher institutions. Can you please tell the audience about the impact, probably the prospect and challenges as well?
All right. Actually, we have made some impacts. First, I mentioned qualitative education. In the country, most of the institutions, from nursery, primary, you see there's kind of deformed education. So we have to correct that. That's one of the basic and most important impacts. It's not good to be educated and still live like an uneducated. The mark of an educated person is character. Because an educated person without character is not only useless, but positively dangerous to society. And we have many of them today. So Claretians have taken it to give a holistic education. That's one of the important impacts we have made, to give this education that goes with character, education that goes with moral, a holistic formation, not just the intellect. So that's one. Two, our formation is very different from others. And that is where you see exploration, you will know that this is exploration. I'm not talking about gigantic strides, no. But things that help make an individual, make society, that is where we have channeled our efforts. So that whatever we do, society will benefit, the church will benefit. Another area that we have made in practice in the church, not only education, also in the church. As Father John mentioned, we have 3 bishops, and there's a reason for that. So these are some of the areas that I can say we have excelled. Apart from the university we have the infrastructure, but the program is different because we form people who are informed and also who are morally sound. And when you see them work, they distinguish themselves. I think that should be one of the best and highest we have achieved. And we are a product of that.
Thank you so much, Father.
I guess anywhere you are working, people will say you are different because of your input. That's how Claretians train.
Thank you so much, Father.
Yes, some of you also ask, asking of our challenges. Yes, like we live in Nigeria, there are so many challenges, and we also face those challenges. Economy is challenging, and we ask, how do we survive? It's by personal sacrifice. The congregation makes sacrifices too. Finance. How do we go on with the university? We make sacrifices, and also donations people give. We are judicious in managing whatever we have. And also, people working with us, they say, along this stride, some people have disappointed us, but that's not going to make us collapse. So we have had disappointments. Sometimes the government disappoints. We are not going to say we won't do our work because of these difficulties. The challenges are there. And the most important challenge we are facing now is to make sure we build up solidly all our structures and form people in the right way. That's a very big challenge.
Thank you so much, Father, for sharing your opinion. Father John, the next question is for you. You mentioned earlier that the Claretian University of Nigeria is out to form a different structure from the way Nigerian institutions are. Now, the Claretian University of Nigeria have brought about a course, The Life and Times of Father Claret. Father John, can you tell us the moral and religious aspect or impact this course will have on the students?
Well, the university is there to form the students, and the faith-based university like ours will need to form the students to recognize that they were fundamentally children of God. And therefore, whatever thing they do is dependent on faith in God. And bringing in a particular program, Lives and Times of St. Anthony Claret, is to make this book, one, to make them different from all others. In our own time, the popular thing in most universities is people look for things that immediately works. They pick up the phones, and then check the TikTok, check the Facebook, check all things. And then when we talk about some traditional persons who worked hard in various ways that lived good life and achieved some things, they say, no, this is old-fashioned. We want to say that some of those things, even though they happened a long time ago, they still are meaningful in our own time, and there's something that we can learn from them. Particularly in the life of Claret, he dreamed a lot. And then people in our own time may say, oh, this looks old-fashioned, and some people may make a mockery of it. But when you keep reading and going through it, you see that it was through that. See, declaration, we're talking about 175 years. In Nigeria, we're talking about 50 years. We've gone so far and gained so much that we cannot abandon it. We now teach people these times what Claretian did, how he lived his life during his own time, and how also those he did his own time will also be relevant in our own time. It may not necessarily be the way he did it, but a way of modernizing it to make it useful in our own time. So building from that, we now also incorporate them, even though all of them are not Catholics. We have Muslims, we have non-Christians. Whoever is there, we mold them, not to force them to become Claretians, not to force them to become Catholics, but to make them realize some link between the Creator and the created. That's the first part. Then it's to make them recognize too what the Creator can also help in making progress in the secular universe. And when they recognize this, they will become progressive as they get out. But if you don't do this, if you depend totally, like you find in some public universities, some students totally depend on the things they get from social media, and then when social media fails them, somebody will commit suicide. But we want to teach people and lead people in such a way that when some of those day-to-day things fail them, that there is something far beyond that, and they will be able to organize their lives to better themselves, better the society, and make our place a safe place to live.
Thank you so much, Father John, for sharing your opinion with us on this matter. Father Charles, the next question is for you. Father Charles, you are among the first people that were recruited by Very Reverend Father Christian Ihedoro. Can you tell us the journey so far up to today since Father Christian Ihedoro recruited you?
I feel it's a journey, just as I said at the beginning, that was seriously taken, especially with the foundation members and those that followed up. And we try to give our best, and we have been men who struggle and who are really ready to walk in any place at any time. For these 175 years of foundation of Claretians all over the world, I think in Nigeria and in Africa, I would say in a special way, something is happening. A good number of our men are coming up. They're taking up different apostolates. I remember also the dream we had at the General Chapter 2003 in Rome of founding Institute of Consecrated Life in Africa, which has to be cited in Nigeria. Now it's in Abuja. That has been a very wonderful one, especially to help all consecrated men and women, old foundations, new foundations, young ones. Some of the foundations also are not yet solid. So I suppose this institute actually, which myself I teach online history, is very important for the growth of the church in Nigeria, for the growth of the consecrated men and women in Nigeria. I can say also with the Claretians' presence in Nigeria, so far so good, and thanks to God, and thanks to Father Ihedoro, who is the founder of this here in Nigeria, in collaboration with Bishop Mike Unebu, which is very close to us throughout our time. So may God bless him.
It was so nice to hear that, and wonderful to also hear from the founders and founders of the Claretian Missionary in Nigeria. It is of no doubt that the Claretian Missionaries are celebrating their 175 years of their 50 years of presence in Nigeria, and we give God all thanks and glory. We also specially thank Very Reverend Father Christian Ihedoro and Bro Ibokwe, and also our Superior General who is seated in Rome, Very Reverend Father Vatambata Matthew. Thank you so much, Father. And one last question before you guys go. Father Charles, I'd like to start with you. How do you feel about Claretian Missionaries celebrating their 175 years of presence in the world?
date of 150th was 2019, yeah. Today we're having this one. I feel is a very important moment, not only to really have introspection as individuals and as a group, but also retrospection, how we lived and how we've been walking, especially from the missionary spirit which Father Claretian left to us. I feel the zeal and the enthusiasm is very high here in Nigeria. You know, as we are talking about Kun, which has been the cap of all the things we are doing now, all Claretians in Nigeria are highly interested in Kun to make sure that it works. And the more done, we also satisfied and we pray that we go further in the future. Now, thank you.
Father Philip, the question also applies to you. How do you feel?
Well, as a person, I feel very happy. As a member of the congregation is very happy. Every celebration has 2 or 3 aspects. First, the joy of celebrating these years, which means going through our history up to 175. That's a joy. That's joy in that. The second is the introspection. As we celebrate, we look back and see and question ourselves. What have we learned from the past? And then projecting the future. From what we have learned, how are we now going to plan the future? Because as these celebrations are going on, the celebration in various forms are going on, is also asking us, what next? Where are we moving to? What's our direction now? There are a few things we realize in the past we have to correct. There are aspirations we have not achieved. So how are we going to achieve these things? In collaboration with the church, Universal Church, and with our missions. As we do that, we review. So these reviews and introspection will help us to say, this is the next direction and what we wish to achieve.
Thank you so much, Father Philip. And Father John, the question also applies to you. How do you feel?
I feel very happy, and I just want to say that a group that has started and has moved on till 50 years. Some people make pride of themselves when they celebrate the 50th Jubilee that they have become elders. And if somebody celebrates 75 years, I don't know what the person says, and then 100 years, and they're talking about 175 years. It means that it confirms the fact that our father founder was really a strong man, a special person, a vicious person, one who dreamt a lot, and those dreams are still going on. And we keep dreaming, taking aspects of his earlier dreams and then going into various aspects. And I'm particularly happy that in Nigeria, we have, a couple of years ago, we have moved on, trying to look for what is most efficient and needed, following the dreams of our father founder and the congregation, what is particularly needed in our environment. Nigeria, one of the areas that the church needs to redeem the people is in the educational sector. And I think that Nigerian Claretians have done marvelously well by trying to redeem the future through education, beginning from primary, nursery, primary, secondary, and now university. And I'm happy that we're alive this time that they are going into the university, because that seems to be the core. Most places, if you do a lot in the primary, secondary, and then people come out and go to university, they begin their own lives without thinking about what they have learned earlier. But now that we have a university, we have a place to continue it until the person stays on his own. So I'm happy that the Claretians is, at this moment, in this final sector, the tertiary, not just training centenarians, but training both boys and girls in various forms at this level, so my joy is complete, and I pray that we will be audacious enough to face the challenges along with it, to be able to know that we are going to be handed over people at their final stage of training, that we have to train them appropriately, not to deform them, as the professor mentioned earlier, but to form them appropriately so that they go into the society and become ambassadors. And that we have to be at this level in order to finalize the training of young people in various forms, of those who come for education. So that I'm happy that we have reached this point, and I pray that the grace of God and through this St. Anthony Mary prayer, Anthony Mary Claret, his prayers, that we will sustain the effort and be able to all have a fulfilling apostolate in Nigeria that also enhances our spirituality and strengthens our economy through education.
Thank you so much, Father Charles, Father Philip, and Father John, for sharing your opinions with us on Sounds of Claret Studio. And with God by our side, we'll be able to achieve these dreams and never lack inspiration from our Father, Founder. May God bless you, the formators and the founders, in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cool. My dear viewers, we're going on a short break, and I hope to see you guys soon.
So what's your name?